The door almost came off its hinges. The wood groaned as if it were alive. I could feel the hot breath on the other side, heavy. Impatient, the pounding came in rhythm, strong, determined. My wife was crying in the bedroom. The boy wouldn't stop screaming. And I held the door with my body, praying that thing wouldn't manage to get in. It wasn't wind, it wasn't a person. And when the red eyes appeared in the crack of the window, I knew it had come to take something, and it wasn't me. I lived in the rural area of Mata Grande, deep in the countryside of Maranhão, in a region surrounded by dense forest, dirt roads, and a silence that seemed endless. At night, the darkness wasn't just the absence of light, it was a presence. It lay over the rooftops, slid down the tree trunks, and gathered in the corners of the house. The wind dragged dry leaves across the yard, and the animals of the forest cried out in the distance, as if warning that the territory wasn't ours, alone. My family lived scattered around the same large piece of land, almost like a small settlement made up only of relatives. Each house built with effort, thick wood, old roof tiles, a simple porch. We worked raising and selling fruit, bananas, mangoes, jackfruit, acerola, along with pigs and cattle. The day started early, with the smell of wet soil and the corral, and ended with tired bodies, but the feeling of duty fulfilled. It was a simple life, isolated, and until then, peaceful. Everything began during Lent in 1997. My son had been born in January. A strong, healthy boy who brought a kind of joy I had never felt before. The house gained a new sound. The thin cry at dawn, the small laughter during the day, the soft breathing in the improvised cradle beside our bed. My wife and I were still learning how to be parents, stumbling through the fear of doing something wrong, trying to get the care right. That's when my grandmother began insisting on the baptism. She spoke quietly but firmly. She said a child without baptism was vulnerable, that the world wasn't made only of things we can see. I respected her, but I decided to wait. I wanted the boy to grow a little more. I wanted to organize everything calmly. I had no idea that decision could open space for something we didn't understand. After that, things began to change. The first time happened during a night of heavy rain. The kind that doesn't fall, it crashes down. The dirt turned into thick mud that trapped your feet. Water leaked through the cracks in the window, and the wind slammed against the walls as if it wanted to get inside too. My son cried nonstop, a strong colic. His little body curled up, his face red with effort, and I stood there helpless, without a single medicine in the house. His crying cut through the silence of the forest. Not knowing what else to do, I decided to go to Sue Raymondo, a neighbor known for praying and preparing homemade remedies. I put on my boots, tied an improvised rain cape, and stepped into the rain. The walk wouldn't take 5 minutes on a dry day, but in that darkness it felt much longer. Every thunderclap lit the road for a second, revealing the dense forest on both sides, tall and thick, as if it were watching. He gave me bay leaves and taught me how to prepare a tea. He told me to have faith. I hurried back. The rain hit my face, cold and heavy. The mud pulled at the soles of my boots. My mind was only on my son. When I was already close to the house, I heard it, my wife's screams. It wasn't a normal call. It was panic. I ran, but the door was closed. I knocked, calling her. Once, twice, 3 times. At first she didn't answer. The silence between each knock felt eternal. She only opened after I insisted, almost shouting too. She was in tears, shaking. The boy was still crying in pain, but the fear on her face was different. It was fear of something else. She said that shortly after I left, someone knocked on the door. She thought it was me. She got up to answer it. Before reaching the living room, she heard a loud noise outside. like something scraping against the wood. She asked who it was. No one answered. The silence grew too heavy. She stepped back. Then the knocking began. Strong, dry, rhythmic, as if something was testing the strength of the door. She ran to the bedroom and locked herself inside, with me not there to protect her. The pounding continued for a few seconds that felt like minutes. That was when she started screaming for help. Before I arrived, whatever had been outside ran off. At that moment, a hot anger rose inside me. I grabbed my sickle and went into the woods after whoever had tried to break into my house. The rain had already weakened, but the ground was still soft. I looked for tracks, signs, any unusual mark in the mud. I found nothing clear, no human footprints, no tracks I recognized. The next morning I searched the entire area. I walked along the paths between the trees, looked near the fences, the corral, the edge of the forest. I thought it might be someone we knew, someone watching us. But deep discomfort was growing inside me. That wasn't the way a person behaves. And even without proof, something inside me already knew. I was right. It was in the middle of Lent that it came back. That time of year always made the place quieter. The nights seemed longer, and every sound carried a different weight. On one of those full moon nights, the sky was clear after several cloudy days. The silver light illuminated the yard and cast long shadows across the packed earth. I was sitting on the porch fixing a fishing net to go fishing with some friends that weekend. I was trying to distract myself. The rough lines sliding between my fingers, the smell of wet fiber, the creaking of the wooden chair, all of it helped keep my mind occupied. But there was something different in the air. The forest around the house was too quiet. No crickets, no frogs, not even the usual rustle of leaves. That's when I heard it. Footsteps. They weren't light like a small animal's. They were heavy, rhythmic, firm steps circling the house, going from one side to the other as if someone were studying the place. The sound came from the darkness beyond the fence, then approached the porch, then moved away again. I stayed still, listening. My heart began to pound harder. The net slipped from my hands and fell to the ground without me noticing. I stood up slowly, trying not to show fear, as if that thing could sense it. I grabbed the sickle leaning against the wall. I walked to the door with measured steps. I opened it just a little. The hinge creaked softly. A low fog covered the yard like a thin veil, but the moonlight helped me see farther, lighting the damp earth and the twisted tree trunks. That's when I saw it. Two red eyes, fixed on me. They didn't blink. At first it looked like a big dog because of its low posture and slanted silhouette. But something about the way it moved was wrong, not natural, not instinctive. It was conscious. I took a few steps outside, feeling the cold ground beneath my feet. The thing moved too. It didn't retreat like a normal animal would. It simply adjusted its position as if following me. The closer I got, the larger it seemed. Its shadow stretched behind it, merging with the trees. Then it stood up slowly. First the front legs lifted, then the torso. Then it was completely upright, balanced like a man. Body tall, too broad. The shoulders looked like they were made of stone. The arms, long, hung beside the body with restrained tension. The head tilted slightly, still staring at me. I understood immediately that I couldn't face that thing with just a sickle. I began to step back, one step at a time, without turning my back. It noticed and it ran. The sound of that run was unlike anything I had ever heard. Heavy, violent, the earth being crushed under the weight of that thing, the air being sliced by its speed. I run. I rushed inside and slammed the door, almost trapping my fingers. At the same moment, it threw itself against the wood. The impact made the entire structure shake. The noise echoed through the house. My wife screamed in the bedroom, and another hit. The door bent. I ran to a corner, grabbed pieces of wood, and braced them behind the door as best as I could. The pounding continued. 1, 2, 3, always with the same violence, as if it were certain it would get inside. Minutes that felt like hours. Sweat ran down my forehead. My hand trembled holding the sickle. Suddenly, it stopped. The silence returned so abruptly that my ears rang. I waited. I didn't have the courage to open the door. I went to the window and looked through the crack slowly. Far away, among the trees, almost blending with the shadows, the same red eyes were still watching me, still as if promising to return. I didn't sleep that night. The next day, I went to my father to borrow his shotgun. I told him what I had seen, every detail. He listened in silence. My grandmother, sitting in a corner, heard everything and said firmly that it was happening because the boy wasn't baptized. She said it was a werewolf, that those things roam houses where there is an unbaptized child, waiting for an opening. My relatives laughed. They said it was a wild dog, that I was too nervous, but dogs don't stand upright. I went home with the shotgun and spent nights on watch, sitting in the dark, the weapon resting on my lap, my eyes fixed on the door. Every snap made me lift my body. Every shadow seemed to move. But it didn't appear. Over time, exhaustion began to overcome the fear. The nights became quieter. I relaxed. I thought maybe it had gone away. I returned the gun to my father. That's when it came back. And this time I was unarmed. The third time was the worst. Not just because of what I saw, but because of what I felt before I even looked. It was another full moon dawn. The kind of light that doesn't fully illuminate but doesn't allow complete darkness either. The house was immersed in a strange silence when I woke up. It wasn't the imagination. It was steps running around the house. Heavy, firm, tearing through the dry dirt of the yard. I stayed lying there for a few seconds, my heart beating so loudly it seemed to echo in the room. My wife slept beside me, the boy in the improvised cradle near the bed. The crying that night wasn't his. It was the sound outside. I got up slowly, feeling the cold floor beneath my feet. Every step I took seemed too loud inside the house. I passed the bedroom door carefully, trying not to make a sound. If I had known what I would see, maybe I would have stayed there, pretending I heard nothing. But I went. I reached the living room. The moonlight slipped through the window crack, casting crooked shadows on the wall. The air felt heavy, still, hard to breathe. I leaned my face toward the crack. I looked. It was crouched under the porch, just a few meters from the door. So close that if I had stretched my arm through the wood, I might have touched the roof that covered it. The body was disproportionate, shoulders too broad, and so long. The hands touched the ground as if made for it, but there was something human in the shape of the fingers. The curved torso looked like a man trying to hide inside himself. The skin was dark and uneven, like thick leather. The face was the most disturbing part. It looked like a monkey, but it wasn't. The features were distorted, elongated, with a mouth too large and teeth shining in the moonlight. And the eyes, red. Not like a normal reflection, they were red like embers hidden under ash. It wasn't just there. It was watching. Its head tilted slightly, as if studying every detail of the house, as if calculating, as if waiting for the right moment. I stayed still. I held my breath until my chest hurt. The fear I felt the other times was different. Before it had been shock, anger, defiance. This time it was protection. I leaned slowly against the wall beside the window and stayed there. I didn't dare grab anything. I didn't dare provoke it. I simply waited. The night seemed endless. From time to time it moved. It walked a few steps along the porch, stopped, crouched again. The sound of its claws scraping the wood slipped through the crack like a warning. After a while, the footsteps move away, first slowly, then faster, until they disappeared toward the dense forest. I waited for the first light of day to rise behind the trees before leaving the room. When the sky began to brighten, I felt that I was still alive. That morning I didn't wait for anyone's advice. I went looking for a priest in the churches around the region. I said I needed to baptize my son urgently. A few days later, the priest came to our house and performed the baptism right there. Simple, no celebration, just family. After that, it never appeared again. Over the years, I realized the visits had always happened on full moon nights, as if something in that light awakened whatever that thing was. But I never saw the red eyes in the yard again. I never heard the breathing outside the door again. I learned the hard way that some things shouldn't be challenged out of stubbornness. Even today, when the full moon lights the dense forest of Maranhão's countryside, I feel a tightness in my chest. The silver light touching the porch makes me remember that crouched silhouette. Sometimes I wake up in the middle of the night and stay silent, just listening, and I give thanks. I give thanks that the door held. I give thanks that it never managed to get inside. Night.